So, as you can see, and as I'm sure Min has just said to you as well, this is info night for director proposals for the 2025-2026 season. This includes three shows, one in the fall, one in the late winter, and our summer musicals. This will all be on the same application. The fall dates will have performances between November 21st and December 7th. Winter will be between January 30th and February 15th. And the summer musical will have performances on June 12th to June 28th. And these are all Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday matinee dates. The director application is a Google form, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and we look through for a few different things on that form. First and foremost is you yourself as a director, your contact info, so we can share the good news with you if you're a part of our season, and your past theater experience, whether that be with KWLT or with another theater group. If you don't have any theater experience yourself, that's totally fine. Many of our directors do not. But what we do ask you to explain in that section where one would normally list their previous experience is what other experiences you have that would make you a good director for this show, such as leadership, communication skills, artistic inclinations, anything like that, so we can kind of get a sense of what you'd be like as a director. Next is regarding your vision. So what is the actual play that you are proposing? What is your vision for it, both in terms of artistically, what style, what sort of experience you're trying to get across, and also some of the more technical components, such as a set design, preliminary lighting ideas, that sort of thing. And lastly, in the vision, we want you to consider why it's right for KWLT. So what would make this an exciting show for KWLT audiences? What makes this interesting for the community? Why is this a good time to do it? Anything like that. Moving on from the vision, we want to know about your team. So there are certain positions that we recommend you have filled by the time of your application. We'll be going into those at a later slide. These include technical director for musicals. We suggest having a choreographer on board, that kind of thing. Dates. We showed you the dates for the shows on the previous slide. We have our kind of preferred show that we would like to kind of go into these. Most obvious is the summer musical, but these aren't set in stone. Sometimes we do kind of move the things around. And lastly, capability shows usually have a budget of about $1,500 to $2,000 plus performance rights, which are outside of that $1,500 budget. So we do ask whether or not you see your vision of the show being able to be covered within that budget. Next, let's talk about KWLT ourselves. So the Kitchener-Waterloo Little Theatre is a volunteer-driven community theatre that presents diverse performances for the enjoyment and education of its members and the community at large. That community, of course, being Kitchener-Waterloo. Part of being a volunteer-driven theatre is that we try our best to be an entry point into the theatre. You don't need to have a ton of experience, huge education. We try our best to provide opportunities for those interested in acting, directing, or technical production. Give opportunities to kind of learn by doing. A big part of that is our open casting policy, which we will also talk about later on the slide. But the key thing here is that the auditions for our shows need to be open to anyone, regardless of experience, either in capability or theater at large. So in your application, we would like to kind of explain to us why you think your show is right for KWLT. So our typical production is mostly adult volunteers and audiences, and something that we have kind of enjoyed in the past is doing shows that are slightly more edgy or experimental that other community theaters might not be interested in. it's not necessary to kind of do the very like straight-laced traditional theater. If we want to do something kind of odd or unusual, we love that. We love odd and unusual. We're also willing to produce new works and local playwrights. Our current season actually features a play by a local playwright, so that's something we're more than happy to do. So if you are a director who has written their own show or is working with someone who's written that show, then we might be the place for you. It could be a good fit. Lastly, we are interested in expanding our membership, but also trusting of those we've worked before. What that means is we obviously always love to grow our capability families, to get more volunteers, to reach different pockets of the communities through our casting process. But this really is a community in every sense of the word. So we tend to know each other, know each other's working styles. So applications do tend to favor people who are sort of known quantities in that they have demonstrated their ability to work with the KWLT community, but this is not a requirement. Many of our directors are first-time directors with KWLT, and we consider this a big positive. Now, the Kitchener-Waterloo Little Theatre, for those of you who haven't been there before, and I think most of the people on this call have, but if you haven't seen it before, we're located at 9 Princess Street East, and it's a small 60-seat black box theater that has both challenges and opportunities. Biggest challenge here tends to be the space. It's depending on how you set up the chairs, which is an option if you want to mess around with that. Just let the box office know in advance. But the standard configuration features a 30-foot wide by 15-foot deep stage with room for about 60 seats. 55 of those are facing the front in your kind of traditional stepwise rate configuration, and 5 are on the accessible platform. This is the space that's immediately accessible from the door leading into the theater. The other seats need to be accessed through a set of stairs. The biggest opportunity, though, is that this is a very flexible space. You can move the stage around within it. The tech shelves and booths are kind of locked in place because they're built there. But the benches themselves can be moved around. The levels themselves can also be moved. We've done theater in the round. I think there was even one production that had the seats in the middle and the production happening around it. There are lots of options here. Now, earlier in this presentation, I talked about the vision, and this tends to be one of the biggest answers in directors' applications. Because this is kind of the main opportunity for us to understand your artistic vision of the play text. And what we want to find out from that is why you are the right person to direct this play. What ideas you have, maybe particular resources, a certain approach, or a set of experiences that you bring to this production. Second is why now is the best time to produce this play, such as messages that are particularly timely. I think we are. Is this our 90th anniversary season yet? I forget where we are legally. But an anniversary year will be another example of that. Or just think this is a really fun time to do this particular show, and it hasn't been done in a while. That's a valid reason as well. Third, what audiences will get out of watching your production of this play, aka why the KWLT community, our audience here at Kitchener-Waterloo, why they would find this exciting. And lastly, any stylistic and artistic elements that you are adding to this production of the play that we might not get from the script alone. You, as a director, have a lot of creative license to create unique visuals or performance elements. We really want to see your ideas for this in this section of the application. And now let's talk about casting. So auditions at KWLT, like I said, are open to anyone, regardless of experience, and there's strictly no pre-casting allowed. Pre-casting means that even before auditions have started, you've promised this role to this friend or somebody you worked with before, a family member. Absolutely not. Everyone must audition, and everyone who auditions must have equal opportunity. If you are not casting the play as specified in the script, please tell us in your proposal, such as if you're willing to cast women as roles typically played by men. One caveat for that is that sometimes the gender-specific characters and who will play those characters is specified in the performance rights. If you're able to get that information in advance, I do highly suggest doing that. Next is the perusal script. So perusal script just refers to the play script. Our review committee goes through all the scripts and reads them to determine which is the best fit for the season. As such, you're required to provide us with copies of the script for the selection committee with your application. Digital is ideal if you can share a PDF with us, either through the form or by emailing me at ad@kwlt.org. That's the artistic director's email address. If you only have a physical copy, that makes things a little bit more complicated, but we have done that before. If you do not have access to one, but a perusal script is available for a fee, please let us know. That might be something we are able to figure out. But easiest situation is you have a digital copy and you can just share that with us. For musicals as well, we ask that you include a link to the soundtrack in your application. Either Spotify, YouTube is preferred because that you don't really need an account for that. But giving some access to the soundtrack so we can get a sense of that musical would be very helpful. All right, next talking about the production team. So these are the roles that ideally would be filled by the time you go to post your application. They do not all have to be filled. You might only have a plan for how to get one or some tentative names. That's fine. Just kind of let us know. So these roles include a stage manager. Their role includes organization documenting, and they are the kind of head honcho in charge of the run. Manager in this case is a very literal title. The producer, this is our person in charge of marketing and publicity. This has kind of like over the years morphed into more of a publicity role, so they would be developing I think programs, working with social media to create posts, making the posters, all that is the producer's purview. Next is technical director. They are going to be designing and implementing technical aspects of the show, and they are also the person that runs Tech Week. And there's a few others that might be unique to your proposal. Again, if you are a musical, we would be expecting to see a choreographer, a music director, potentially an accompanist or band leader, depending on your particular show. Other shows might need a carpenter, an intimacy director, a fight choreographer, anything that you can show us that you have someone signed up or you have a plan to get those people on board, that is very valuable for your application. In some cases, we might be able to help you find someone, but the strongest applications do tend to be the ones that have these roles filled. Communication expectations. So moving on from the kind of application itself, and explaining how we kind of do communication here at KWLT. Your production will have a dedicated KWLT Google Drive folder where we'll upload relevant documents, such as our policy guide, any kind of marketing stuff that is necessary for you to have, and any marketing materials that are developed for the show would also be uploaded into that same Google Drive. A special channel on the KWLT Slack will also be made for each productions. At least one member of the crew must be available there. Ideally, you as a director will also be available on Slack. And we do have the expectation that any messages in the Slack be responded to within 24 hours. If you're added directly, so if a message is directly sent to you or is marked as being for your eyes, please respond to that within 24 hours. Otherwise, the ideal response time is for a week. You will also get your own at kwlt.org email address. And these will be used for show-related inquiries. It will also give you access to the Google Drive and setting up your own Google Meets, just like this one. And this also has an expected response time of 1 week unless something is very urgent and a shorter time period is specified. Our expectations for you, your crew, your cast, and marketing promotions. So we have some helpful links off to the side. These are publicly available. I believe they are on our website, and if not, they are definitely on the application form. Your responsibilities to your cast include providing a positive experience and kind of fostering the encouraging environment within which to create art. Your cast, in turn, is expected to participate in promotion of the show and be available for Tech Week. Those are crucial days. For the crew, you need to help develop your crew and meet regularly with them. It is your responsibility to put that team together and schedule meetings. They, in turn, are responsible for organizing and running Tech Week. Marketing and promotion, again, this is primarily led by the producer, but everyone has a role to play here. As a director, we need your active participation, either directly or through the producer, to sell the show. So developing social media content, promotional appearances, poster creation, and distributing those posters around town. This is all a shared responsibility between the director, the producer, and the cast and crew. However, we do not leave you entirely on your own here. If something goes wrong, like if someone has quit or is just completely ghosting you, you're having some trouble communicating with box office, you can't find a technical director, a particular scene isn't working, there you have the support of us here at KWLT. So show support is your primary point of contact. Every show will have a dedicated liaison, as well as being able to contact me, the artistic director here, and I can help, and I and the show support committee can help try to resolve your issue. All right, and that concludes my presentation. So the rest of the time is for questions. Folks on the call, do you have any questions about the presentation, applications, etc.? Derek, yes.
Yes. So I'm interested in. So I have two full-length plays that I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I noticed the application deadline is December 6th.
Yes.
So they won't be like completely finished during that time. By that time,
Mm-hmm.
do they have to be? I mean, they'll definitely be finished, obviously, before the auditions.
Mm-hmm.
It would be for the 2026,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I mean, obviously, it's going to be a lot finished, and I'm working in with I'm part of the new works group, so
Mm-hmm.
that's they'll be developed through there and that. But I'm just wondering, is if I'm being premature and not having them completely finished by the time I would submit the application.
So do you think you will have, if not the final draft, but a full draft for the December 6th or the application deadline?
For the one play, I'll have probably a full draft. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The new works is kind of a new thing with us, so I don't know if we've necessarily done this before, but I think that there shouldn't be any issue with you just kind of spinning what you have and then including explanation that this is part of new works. It is development in progress. Um, you could also kind of talk about that you'd be co-developing it with your cast if that is something you'd be interested in as well. As long as you're clear about it, I think we can still consider it. If you're interested in submitting two of them, I think those will need to be separate applications though.
Right. Got it. Thank you.
Eliza, I think I saw your hand next.
Yes, you did. What was my question? One moment. So regarding performance rights,
Yes.
uh, the show I have in mind recently seems to have disappeared that through their agent, and I'm trying to track that down. If I cannot successfully track that down myself, is KWLT able to help with that at all, or no?
We can try. Do you have any indication?
Uh, I, I, I will absolutely be able to get you a baseline if I can't already solve it by the time the submission deadline is.
Mhm.
But it was supposed to be licensed. I don't know if they've just like hidden it for some reason or another. But I have ways.
Yeah. Halfways. Yeah, great. Yeah, if you can kind of like maybe get in contact with the agent, see what's
Yeah,
happening there.
absolutely.
If you would prefer it come from the authority that is a KWLT email address,
Okay.
then we can also help with that.
Okay.
Right. Lisa, did I see your hand up before, or was I hallucinating?
You did see my hand up.
Okay, great.
I have a unique question, I guess.
Okay.
I have a few people interested in being a team together,
Mm-hmm.
but we're kind of all between two different shows. Like everyone is interested in both shows. Um, and I, as a director, struggle to decide which of the two shows I like make the most sense for KWLT. So I'm wondering if it makes sense to apply with both shows or if it would look better for us if we figure it out first.
I would suggest figuring it out first.
Okay. Sounds
Like if you're
good.
torn between two existing shows.
Yeah. Everybody is on the team. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Like everyone's interested in both. So it's like it doesn't matter, we just want to work together kind of thing.
Yeah. I think like if that's the situation, if you've got a team and you're just kind of deciding what you want to do with that team, then I would suggest picking one.
Okay, sounds good.
um,
Thank
the more focus you can kind of have your vision section, especially, the better.
Sounds good.
And Eliza.
Second question that came up. Um, Part of the casting requirements for the show that I'm planning
Mm-hmm.
uh, specifies casting particularly trans women in 3 roles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not entirely certain we can necessarily get that from an open casting call,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure we could get something going. I'm just wondering if I'm not able to find that from a first open casting call, is there any way to like do a second like specialized casting call for that or no?
So when we say open casting, what we specifically mean is that it should be open to everyone. That's kind of our priority here, avoiding the whole pre-casting. Um, if you are looking for specialized roles and you want to put out a specialized call for that, um, especially for like trans women, then that's the requirement of the show. You're absolutely able to do that. The situation we're trying to avoid is just pre-casting. That's a priority. Right. Do we have any additional questions from those assembled? Okay. Sounding like that is about it. If you have anything that you think of or that comes up, you can always contact me at ad@kwt.org. So, happy to answer any questions. I'm also reachable on Slack if you're already on there. My name is Gaia Benoon. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight for the Director's Info Night, and we hope wish you all the best with completing your applications, and we look forward to reading them. Thank you so much.